你好，Welcome back，欢迎回来to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger. On July 28th, 2021, it has been a very long, very hectic, but rather productive day. My one of my hard drives failed again. Had to get it into the store to get it looked at. So I'm still waiting to hear back from my computer tech. Also, got to go out with my really good friend Darren for lunch, catch up on the past few weeks. Uh, also, I heard that my beautiful, intelligent girlfriend will be coming to visit soon. So that is definitely very, very exciting. We have not seen each other for over a year now because of this silly pandemic. So I don't know if it's going to impact the daily video once we got together. I'm hoping not. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see. If you guys suddenly notice me not putting out daily video, then just know that I'm busy catching up with my girlfriend. Catching up. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Anyway, um, so today I want to talk about pet rocks. Yeah, pet rocks. Somehow, in the back of my mind, I have an uneasy feeling that I might have done this episode before and talked about this topic. Uh, but I took a quick look into the past Wisdom Wednesdays and didn't see anything about pet rocks, so maybe not. Uh, so maybe it's a topic that I thought about talking about and uh, discarded for some reason. But uh, anyway, if I've already addressed this, then you just have to forgive me. I've done so many episodes, and sometimes it is easy to lose track and tread some old ground and so on and so on. But I hope, even if it's something that I already addressed, I will be able to add new content to an old topic. Like I mentioned many times before, I grew up having a lot of different kind of pets. Uh, I had rooster, I had squirrel, I had uh, hermit crab. Oh God, I had a lot of hermit crabs. I had turtles, and sometimes honestly, when you have turtles, sometimes they might as well be pet rocks because sometimes they will sit there and just not do anything for many many hours. Uh, so, and I grew up collecting a lot of stuff, seashells, bones, action figures, of course, toys of various kind. And at one point, I collected rock as well. But I never had pet rock. I didn't even know about such a thing as pet rock. I didn't realize pet rock is even a thing until very recently, maybe in the past 4 years, that I came across some people talking about pet rocks on the internet, and I was like, I? What the heck? Like, how can you make a pet out of that? Before we proceed, to say rock, the Mandarin is 石头, 石头. That's like SHI and then TO, 石头. I know the way I pronounce it, it doesn't sound like SHI, but uh, it's a pronunciation in Mandarin that is there's no actual English equivalent. So the closest I can come to in spelling is SHI, 石头. Shito is rock, stone, uh, any kind of rock or stone in Mandarin, no matter big or small. A boulder will still be 石头. Now, the first thing to understand when we talk about Chinese people and the relationship to pet rock is that Chinese people's idea of making a rock a pet is drastically different from uh, what I would say Caucasian people or our Western world idea of um, making pet rock. You see, for most people that get into pet rock here in Canada, over there in the US, over there in the UK, uh, basically they take a rock or a bunch of them, uh, put them in a tub of water. Some people don't even do the tub of water. Some people just put them on their desk. And then every day they talk to them, they treat them like living creatures. They ascribe a spirit, as emotions to them. They use their imagination, they use their own personality and project a kind of personality onto the rock. In a sense, uh, they are making that rock a living creature in their mind, a living companion in their mind. So a lot of it is largely depending on imagination. Uh, if you imagine your rock to be very passive and listening to you, then your rock is very passive listening to you. If you imagine your rock to be very moody, then your rock is very moody. And you talk to it, you uh, uh, change its water every day like you would fish or turtle. And that's how people in the Western world enjoy their pet rock. In Chinese people's mind, to Chinese people, pet rock is something entirely different. Chinese people do not ascribe any kind of emotion, any kind of personality to the rock. It's a rock. It's just a rock. It's 石头. It's not nothing more. It's not going to sink. It's not going to hear you. There's no point talking to it. Right? Chinese people's appreciation of pet rock is purely uh, aesthetic, purely visual, and uh, very much tied to meditation. For a Chinese person, the first step is to pick the right stone or the right rock. So that involved you going to the beach or going to the mountain and look at stone and rock you come across. What you're looking for is a feeling of whatever you're looking for. For example, you go walk along the lake shore or the riverbank, you look at different stone, different rock, and suddenly, out of the blue, those of you that do crafting, work with wood, or those of you that work with soapstones, different materials, you might understand what I'm talking about. They all look kind of the same, but suddenly, out of nowhere, you see a stone, you see a piece of wood, or you see a rock, and you go, wow, I feel so peaceful when I look at this. Or looking at this make me so happy. That's the first step for a Chinese person. Oops, sorry, I bumped the camera there. Let me readjust. That's the first step for a Chinese person to pick out uh, the pet, the pet rock, is to find that piece of stone, find that rock that they instantly have a mental connection with. That instantly puts them in a peaceful frame of mind, instantly makes them feel happy. Whether it's because of the color, whether it's because of the texture, etc., etc. And this sounds very weird to some people, but I will tell you, even for a blind person like myself, I have a special connection uh, to quartz. Uh, if I have my hand on a piece of quartz, it instantly make me feel a lot better psychologically. I can be very stressed out. I can be very depressed or very sad or very frustrated. Like if I put my hand on a piece of quartz, the texture, the shape, the angles, the curve, the uh, very the different facets of the quartz, all that combined to help me drain off some of that negative energy. And I don't even do pet rocks, but I have noticed that quartz have that effect on me, even though I can't see it. So there is definitely some kind of emotional feedback or some kind of uh, emotional trigger that can be ascribed to stone or rock. And this is what people look for, Chinese people. When they look for that pet rock, they may be out there in the outdoors many, many days, sometimes take several months before they stumble across that one stone or one piece of rock that they feel something special about. And also, this is very important. For Chinese people, pet rock cannot be artificial. It cannot be processed. So jade is out because most of the time you see jade, what we think of it as jade, it's actually uh, processed. It's not something that just formed naturally. Most jade, when they're natural, they don't look like much of anything. Same with diamond. When you look at diamond, in the natural state, it just looks like a lump of gray rock. So when you have a pet rock in Chinese culture, it have to be unprocessed. It have to be totally natural. It have to be something you find out there. It can't be store bought. It can't be something that's polished and carved. Once you pick the rock to be your pet in Chinese culture, once you find that rock, and again, totally natural, then it's time to take it home and keep it as your pet. Uh, every day you look at it, you remember that feeling. What does it feel like when you look at it? So, like I said, you do not give it an emotion, you do not give it a personality. You don't talk to it like you talk to your cat or dog. You don't uh you don't sit around and bring it to a table and have it sit on the table while you're eating dinner like it's your companion. No, it's just a rock that you look at to have that special spiritual or emotional feeling for yourself. It's about you. It's not about the rock because it's just a rock. However, there are still things you need to do for your pet rock. You can't just leave it sitting there. How do you take care of your pet rock? There's three different schools of taking care of a pet rock, depending on largely the size of the stone, the size of the rock, and how much you're willing to do for it. The first method, the most intimate, the most primitive, but the simplest way is to pet it. Yeah, to caress it, to fondle it, to rub it on your body. Now that may sound like I'm contradicting myself. That may sound like because I just said you don't treat it like a dog or a cat. But now I'm saying one of the methods to take care of your pet rock is to caress it and to rub it on your body. But it's got nothing to do with petting it and making it feel good. It's not about that. What's actually going on here is you're using the grease on the surface of your skin, the grease in your hair, the grease on your face to keep the rock looking nice, to protect the rock, to let the grease infuse into the rock. Because if you have the rock, depending on the type of rock, you let it sit there for too long, on its own, it's going to become really brittle and start to flake away. So you want to take care of that rock by moisturizing it, lubricating it with the grease from your body. And this is even true for people that have jade. If any of you have jade uh, rings or jade bracelet, jade ornament, or jade decoration, uh, or jade jewelry, this is a little tip for you that in case no one ever told you that. If you want your jade to stay very highly valuable, if you want your jade to never diminish in color, the color never fade, you need to take that jade and rub it on your face, especially beside your nose and around your chin area regularly. So the oil from your skin will infuse that jade and keep it looking nice for a long time. 9 p.m. Uh, when I inherited a jade ring from my family, I was told very, very firmly to remember to do that. And I'll admit I don't remember to do that all the time because uh, it just feel kind of weird to take a piece of jade and rubbing it all over my face. But when I think of it, I do make a point of doing that because I know how that actually work because I used to carve soapstone in high school. And after you carve a soapstone statue, it is customary to take oil and rub it into the soapstone, and you wouldn't believe the difference it makes if you rub the oil in and you let it sit there for several days for that oil to get absorbed into the stone. And that piece of soapstone gets so silky smooth and so shiny. It's amazing. It almost turns an ordinary piece of soapstone into something really, really valuable. So it does that with jade, with any kind of stone, really. So that is the first method of taking care of your pet rock is to rub it on your skin so the oil of your skin can keep the rock nice and healthy, nice and good looking. The second method is to take care of it with water and not just let it sit in a pool of water. That's just going to make it grow algae. Uh, to really take care of your pet rock with water, you need to hold it under a sprinkler or running water regularly every day, preferably every day. You need to let water run over it over and over, so the water will polish away any of the dirt that accumulate in the air, and the water will take away any of the little imperfection that it might pick up through time. Uh, a lot of time when you guys go to a Chinese garden or a large Chinese structure, you see they have uh, uh, waterfall and little pond and little artificial lakes in the garden. A lot of people think that that's for you to look at the waterfall. The waterfall is for you to look at. A lot of people think the artificial lake is there to keep fish in. You're partially right, but for the most part, these artificial waterfalls, these artificial streams, are actually there for pet rocks. Chinese people that have own these gardens, they'll put some very valuable, very highly rare, really interesting looking stone or rock in there, and these waterfalls and streams, they are more there for the rock than for us to look at. The third method is more modern, costs a little bit more money, uh, but it's a very tried and proven method to again keep your rock nice and healthy. The third method is to take a big paintbrush and brush mineral oil all over the rock. Uh, baby oil works just as well, and mineral oil work wonders on this method. Like I said, it's a little bit more expensive uh, because you have to actually buy the ingredients, and it takes a lot more work because you got to sit there with a paintbrush and make sure you go over every inch of the rock. But it is a lot less weird than rubbing it all over your face, and probably easier to accomplish than doing it with running water. I mean, if your rock is only the size of your hand, then running water from the kitchen sink works just as well. But if you have a pet rock that is like the size of a table, and yeah, don't laugh. Some people really do. Some people have a pet rock the size of a dinner table. The running water might be a little bit difficult. So in that case, the third method, doing it with a paintbrush and mineral oil, is a more logical way to go about it. It is also vitally important to make sure your pet rock is somewhere with good circulation, with good airflow, so the oil or water will get uh, dried out, and it will get a good amount of uh, breeze that helps the rock absorb excess water, moisture, and oil. Also, you want to make sure that no matter if you're using oil or water, that you want to keep the rock or the stone dust free. So yeah, you definitely don't want to keep it by the window or near the road, where anytime a car goes by, a lot of grit and sand is going to fly onto your pet rock, and after a few days, uh, your pet rock won't even look the same anymore, and you'll have to throw it away because you no longer feel that special feeling when you look at it. Because now it's all dirty and gritty and full of pockmarks. Chinese people have been fascinated with pet rock for a lot longer than most people realize. Uh, it go back thousands and thousands of years. One of the more recent, and I say recent, in a more it's all relative to how long it's been around. But one of the more recent official record of someone from Chinese history who's really, really uh, into pet rocks was an artist named Mi Fu from the Song Dynasty. So this is about 700 years. This would be about 1200 years ago, 1100 years ago. So yeah, I mean, this is one of the more recent example, and it goes way back further than that. Mi Fu, like I said, is one of the best artists from the Song Dynasty. But Mi Fu was always kind of ostracized and alienated by people because of how much he loved pet rocks. There was a story that goes one time Mi Fu went into the imperial palace to present one of his paintings to the emperor. Because, like I said, Mi Fu was one of the best artists in China at the time. So most of his art were highly valued, and most of them were reserved for the royalties and noble people, the people of high rank and high station. So he went into the palace to see the emperor to present one of his paintings to the emperor. Out of the corner of his eyes, because back then, when you were talking to the emperor, you couldn't look at the emperor. You have to keep your head down while you kneeling down on the floor. You can't look up. You have to keep your head down while you talk to the emperor. Uh, this is digressing a little bit, but if you look straight at the emperor, if you look directly at the emperor, that's enough to get death penalty. That's enough to get your head chopped off. It's counted as disrespecting the emperor, aka treason. So okay, Mi Fu came into the palace with his painting, and he got in there to see the emperor. So he's kneeling on the floor with his head down, bowed to the floor, and out of the corner of his eyes, he saw at the emperor's desk this beautiful rock inkwell. It's an inkwell uh, that actually a piece of rock that just shaped right to be an inkwell. Instantaneously, Mifu fell in love with that piece of rock. Uh, no one really know what he felt when he looked at that piece of rock, but he went crazy. Uh, Mifu looked up at the emperor and said, "Your Highness, or Your Majesty, can I have that rock? Since I gave you my painting, can I have that rock?" Just happened the emperor really liked that inkwell. Uh, he didn't really care much for the rock, but it's one of his favorite inkwell because it's very unique. Most other inkwells were carved or manufactured, but this was a natural occurrence. This was a piece of rock that just happened to be shaped like an inkwell. But, it's something really rare. So the emperor really liked it. So the emperor didn't want to say yes. At the same time, Mifu did just give him one of his paintings, though the emperor didn't want to say no either. So the emperor kind of like shrugged his shoulder and mumbled something that didn't really mean yes or no, and then he kind of uh, nodded his head a little bit and shook his head a little bit, and just in that moment where the emperor turned his head to the side, because remember he was nodding and shaking his head and shrugging, the moment he took his eyes off the inkwell, Mifu jumped up, grabbed the inkwell off the desk, and tucked it into his shirt, knelt down, and thanked the emperor for granting the inkwell to him. Now, to us, this might not sound like a really big deal. To us, this might sound funny. But you gotta remember, even looking at the emperor straight on could be considered treason, could get your head chopped off. This guy not only looked at the emperor, he asked the emperor to give him something. And when the emperor didn't say yes or no, he jumped up, approached the emperor, grabbed the inkwell, tucked it under his shirt, getting ink all over his shirt in the process, by the way. And lucky for him, the emperor loved his art so much that the emperor forgave him. And, well, he took the inkwell already. The emperor couldn't really say, "Give it back to me," like a common, street thug. So the emperor just forced a smile and said, "Okay, you can have the inkwell. I was going to give it to you all along, even though I wasn't, but you took it anyway. So, yeah, get out of here." That's how crazy some people, such as me, who were with Pet Rock, and when they feel that instant connection, uh, it's electrifying and it drives them to do crazy, crazy things. I hope that this episode is not a repeat of an old episode, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If not educational, I hope it is at least entertaining. I will be back again tomorrow for Toys Thursday. For now, have a good night and 再见. And no, by the way, next time you go into the mountains, look around. Maybe you will find a rock or a stone that you will establish a special connection with too.